Hello and welcome to Sports BC Drag Racing. My name's Jared McLean and we're here at Dalton House in Pyrmont, Sydney with one of the best views anywhere in the city just over our shoulders. It's an incredible time to have you with us for our first show. We're very excited and you're going to meet some fantastic people along the way. The first of those, of course, six-time national top door slammer champion, Victor Bray. Victor, how you going, mate?
Yeah, really good, mate. Love being here. Beautiful weather, good place, great venue.
And of course, just here to my left, Darren Morgan, 4 times top fuel champion. How's everything?
Yeah, good, matey. As you say, the venue's just amazing and the days turned out perfect. So.
Oh, it's unreal. Now, Victor, we've just come off the recent Gulf Western Oil's Nitro Thunder. Of course, yourself, one of the drivers in the 2-car team of the Gulf Western Oil top door slammer crew. But of course, you weren't always operating at this sort of level. How did you get started in the sport?
I'm a farm boy, come off a farm when I was a young fella, 5th generation actually, tomato farmer just north of Brisbane. Started with all the farm equipment, had to learn how to repair it and get it all going. Got a couple of paddock thrashers, cars thrashing around the paddock and that. Me and a few mates and sort of built up, got me licence, street cars, some V8 Monaros, started loving the speed and the power of them and stuff like that, fixing them yourself and all that stuff, which is where drag racing sort of started, I suppose. And started doing a couple of runs down the old Surface Paradise track and enjoyed it, started winning some races and just sort of built up from there, I suppose, into where we are today.
Now, Darren, you're operating in the top echelon of drag racing here in Australia, top fuel, thousands and thousands of horsepower at your disposal, but again, that's not where you started. How did you get your foothold in the sport?
I've done a bit of street racing, like Victor said as well, and it was suggested I stop doing it. So we put the streetcar engine into a chassis car and got hooked on from there. As Victor said, it's the power sport. Like drag racing's all about power and more and more and more.
Now you've got a mechanical background yourself, obviously, Victor, a tomato farmer of quite great repute. What's your background?
I've done a couple of apprenticeships. I've done a fitting and turning one, then I've done a mechanical apprenticeship. So sort of stem from there. These days I do a bit of teaching for TAFE and do some at-risk youth programs and stuff. So trying to get those kids hooked on motorsport and a trade, like the motor trade as well, I suppose, and to help that area. So it all started from there, I guess.
And you guys get the opportunity to sit in some of the best machinery, and we're going to go over some of the different cars that you've actually had the chance to drive. You had a bit of a Frankenstein back in the day. It was a 1-tonner chassis with a 57 Chev body on it, Victor. What was the inspiration to go that direction?
I had my streetcar, black 57 Chevy streetcar. I used to drive it around, race, had a few different engine combinations and that, and just wanted something a bit safer, I suppose, when I started running down surface. So me and a few mates got together, went up the local wrecking yard, didn't have a lot of funds kicking around in those days. Found my mate at the wreckers had an old Holden chassis sitting there. So I took it home. I got a 57 Chevy body that I bought up at the Toowoomba swap meet. Needed a bit of work, whacked it all over the top of it, and we messed around there for a while. It was the heaviest car in the world, I think, at the time, but I loved it. And I just got involved with one of the most famous drag racers in Australia, Mick Atherwood. He went to the United States. He said, stop messing around with those small blocks. You need a big Hemi. Goes and buys me a big Hemi over in the US, bring it back over, chuck it in the car, and started running it. It's we went 200 mile an hour in that car. It was just a home-built thing. It was pretty rough all around, and I've still got the car today. I keep all my old race cars, but it's still sitting in the shed there at home. And I've often said to the Benny and the boys when they say, "Oh, why don't you get this one going again?" And I did sit in it one day, and I'd probably be a bit weary about even getting pushed around the car park in it now. But in them days, it must have been different because we went pretty fast in it.
Do you remember a wheel stand at Calder Park?
Yeah, she didn't handle too well, but it was a lot of fun in them days. And like I say, the cars were a bit slower then, and it was very, very competitive, and won some championships in it and stuff, and won a lot of races in it, and it was a really good car, nice car.
It's interesting. We've found that drag racing is such a team and a family-focused sport, and Benny Bray, your son, he was destined to wind up as a drag racer. But Darren, can the same be said of your family?
Yeah, all the kids, the 3 kids have all run junior dragsters, so they're all excited about that. And of course, all of them would take a chance in the driver's seat if they could. So we'll see what happens in the future there.
They'll take the driver's seat. You won't be able to ask, mate.
They'll kick you out.
They're pushing pretty hard.
Let's talk achievements, guys, because drag racing is all about milestones, and I understand you, Darren, yourself, you tend to live in the now. Tomorrow's a new day, and move on from the past. But some of your achievements, we saw brilliant on the trot run between, I think it was 2010 to 2012 of championships for yourself. What else have you got to your name?
Not much. I know we've run some track records and won some championships and all those things. As you said, I don't look in the past too much. It's about what we can do in the future. And the car we're running now, we got that new car to bring to Australia for that reason. We need to run 50s in this country now, and the weekend that's just gone past proves that. Young Benny that tunes the car, that does an awesome job as part of that string of championships, as most of the guys are that are still on the crew. But moving forward, it's going to be a 40 sport in this country, and it's rearing its head, so we have to be there.
Yeah. Victor, your quest for top speeds and low ETs really kicked off in the 90s, where you guys opened the ledger of the starting round of the Australian Top Door Slammer Championship with a win at a world record speed. Run us through some of your biggest milestones.
I think with my early days, door slammer racing in Australia was just starting. There was probably me on the East Coast, John Zappia on the West Coast, and Dave Baxter, I suppose, was the first guy to really get it going over here. But so in them days, it was a sport that was building. We came out of the Wild Bunch, which was just a group of us. Used to travel up and down the East Coast with supercharged door slammers, racing at all the different racetracks. And when it got more and more professional and we wanted a more like a heads-up start, more so than a handicap start, we went to Andrew, we asked him what we could do about it, and after a couple of years of us getting our act together and getting some rules formatted, they created Top Door Slammer, which is the bracket that sort of come on. And to start there and have a lot of guys sort of, working around trying to get the cars to go faster and faster and faster, and I guess we just did it better than them for a while. But what happened was then, Mick Athel used to tell me, be careful what you wish for. Well, I always wish for the bracket to get stronger and stronger and more competitive. Well, no more waiting anymore. I mean, by the year 2000, the thing was written very, very strong, and it's got stronger and stronger ever since. So we won 6 championships against some very tough competition. Scotty Cannon from the US, Johnny Rocker, John Shelby, some famous US racers that travelled over here, and we took them on. We won championships while they were here racing. So we're doing well in the day, and the racing just got tougher and tougher and tougher from there on. And a lot of the achievements that we did in those early days, we're still up there with them today, mate, but it's, there's a lot of good competitors out there nowadays, and a lot of smart people doing a lot of smart thinking. So, we're still trying. We'll get back there. We'll be back on top. We'll get there.
Guys, victory doesn't come without a cost. Adversity is going to rear its ugly head at some stage along the way. Darren, we've seen some footage recently of the Rocket Industries Top Fuel Dragster incident on Boxing Day a few years ago. Run us through. I know you don't like to live in the past. You do like to pick yourself back up. It can't be easy to take a massive incident like that and put one foot back in front of the other and get back on the horse.
Well, we got told we wouldn't come back from that incident. The car was 8 passes old from memory. We ran it in Perth testing, and we come up to Sydney to run and wrote the thing off, but we come runner-up in Queensland 2 weeks later just to prove a point that we could come back. And we won championships after then. So it is about being strong, and the bad days are bad, aren't they, Vic? But the good ones are real good. So, and this weekend was a struggle for us too, but we had the same tune-up in it all weekend, and in the final we ran our personal best, and the passes before that would run to half-track the best we've ever run. So it's about getting to Queensland the next meeting and running better again. And it's up to the weather conditions, the track conditions. There's so many things that alter how quick you can run, but the crew I've got and the boys are doing a marvellous job, the equipment we've got, and it's amazing what you can do. We're an all-Australian team, and we haven't got the Yank drivers and the Yank juniors and all that stuff there. So we're just a little old Aussies taking on the great big guys, and we're doing okay.
Victor, again, adversity is something that's visited pretty much the entire family, the entire team. Yeah. Run us through some of your lowlights.
I suppose the lowlights are always when, drag racing, I think as far as engines go and components go, you accept that as a part of it. But I mean, obviously, drag racing's a sport, and I've said it many times, if it wasn't for the cost of the sport and the danger in the sport, everyone would be doing it, It's a fantastic sport, it's so exciting. But I suppose the lowlight in the team, I mean, I've been into the wall a few times here and there, but I think the lowlight of the team was in 2014 when Ben tipped his sports compact car over into the wall at a couple hundred mile an hour, and we had to get away from the sport for a little while he recovered. But there's been a lot of stuff over the years. I mean, things happen that I suppose they're not predictable, but they do happen in drag racing, and it's stuff that you just got to get over when it sort of happens. I mean, damaging cars, wrecking engines and stuff like that is just something that I suppose at the end of the day you got to accept that it's the type of sport that it is. You're dealing with thousands and thousands, or in Darren's case, tens of thousands of horsepower. So, engines are under a lot of stress, cars are under a lot of stress. You're sitting in a race car doing 250 mile an hour in a door slam and 300 mile an hour plus in the fuel cars, and you're doing it most weekends, and I suppose you're sort of asking for something maybe along the way to probably not go your way. So we take all safety precautions very, very seriously. We're advised by ANDRA and IHRA and anyone else in the NHRA in the US, and we take on board everything that there is to do as far as safety goes, plus common sense within our own teams. We know what we do, what capability of the drivers and stuff's all very, very important as well. And the team, you take advice from everyone on the team. I mean, we're the pilots sitting in the car, but drag racing's a sport where without the team you're not there, especially in top fuel, but in door slam more so nowadays that the competition level's really increasing. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of keeping your eye on the ball and and trying to avoid all the downsides of the sport and enjoy the upsides while they're there.
Well, make sure you don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with more Sports BC drag racing in just a short while. We're back with Sports BC drag racing. My name's Jared McLean, and I have Victor Bray and Darren Morgan from Top Door Slammer and Top Fuel respectively. Guys, let's talk dollars. Now, this sport wouldn't happen without sponsors, and you guys both appear to have some pretty good sponsorship deals. Victor, you've got one of the big ticket items in the form of the Gulf Western Oil support, not only jumping on with the team, also some other teams throughout the sport, as well as holding a couple of event naming rights. How is it to be backed so heavily and have someone in your corner?
Oh mate, it's great. I mean, motorsport is probably wouldn't exist in the world without sponsorship. You have a look at Formula One, NASCAR, the US drag racing, Australian drag racing, V8 supercars. Without sponsorship, it just doesn't happen at the level that it's going to happen at. So it's great to have the sponsorship, and the people responsible for the success of that whole program are the fans. Because if the fans don't come, the sponsors don't want to be there, the money doesn't flow, the teams can't run. So it's a good circle, and it's a very good circle. That's why we love our fans so much, and we have fan appreciation days and do what we can. But yeah, having Gulf Western Oil on board, I mean, we had, when Benny had his accident, we just lost a major sponsor the same day. It was the final day, it just happened to be a coincidence. And then, Ben took about a year or something to get out to recover. And, he's 9 months, laying in a hospital bed, and then a few more months after that to sort of get back involved and start doing a bit of stuff around the place. And that obviously eats a lot into your career, what you think you're doing. I've never had to sort of put up with something like that before. I've always been very fortunate in having sort of flow-on sponsorships and stuff with major corporations. But so we sort of, I don't suppose we ever retired. I suppose Ben used to tease me that I was semi-retired or whatever he used to say, but I cop it in the old workshop there a bit. But I figured that we'd just probably run some local races. Ben's involved in sports compact racing as well, so I figured he'd do more of that. We'd run door slam at maybe Brisbane and Sydney occasionally. So, and I'd known the guys at Gulf Western, the family down there, for so long that they'd been involved in the sport for a long, long time. The Vickery family. So I had put proposals into them before, and it was very surprising in November, October, November, on the year before we started, like 2016, I get a phone call and they just say, well, we going racing again, or what we doing, and hell yeah, so we sort of made plans to do some other stuff, but mate, they're just a great bunch of guys to be working for. It's just such a fantastic organisation, good family business and good Australian business, which is just great. And they've got some great people working there, some great customers and good customer base. And I'm just so lucky to be able to represent them out in the track. And not only that, we're back a little bit invigorated. Technology moved forward quite a bit in the time that we were away, and some of the other teams really got a bit of a jump on us. It's given us the opportunity. It's slow getting parts out of the US because of the number of parts you have to make over there. It takes months. So by the time we ordered the parts, knew we had the deal, ordered the parts, got them over here, it's sort of only round about the Nitro Champ. So we sort of had a bit of a performance back in there. But as far as Gulf Western Oil is a very customer-based company, and we have a lot of guests that come into the racetrack now. Hundreds and sometimes thousands of guests at the racetrack in our pits, which is something that happens in the US a lot, in NASCAR and everything. So it's great to see it sort of getting strong in Australia.
It's good to see you with a great deal behind you. You've also got a very strong backing in the form of AEG Power Tools, Darren. Of course, plastering the name across the car is only one aspect of having such a great deal. You've had to work outside of the track to sort of fulfill the sponsors' requirements. Can they be arduous at some times, or is it just something you suck up and you throw yourself into and do the best you can?
We're the only regional based team in the country, and not self-funded like most of the teams. So for us, the sponsorship is everything. So we just, it's part of our job, I guess. And AEG, they've been with us on and off at different levels for 7 years now. So we took that year off to regroup and work out where we're heading in the sport, because we want to own it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want to get out there and run the low numbers and the fast times and put on the show and make sure the fans are having a great time while we're there. That's what we're all about, you know. So to have a sponsor like that is involved in the Bunnings stores, that like AEG's only sold through the Bunnings stores, so we go across the country and we do a few startups during the day and get their customers involved with the product and do some demos, and it doesn't seem arduous, not at all. It's fun. Those people that work in those stores love us being there. The fans love us being at the stores as well. So to do all those sort of things, it's just part of a big happy circle of life that gets us to go racing.
It's a necessary part of what you guys do, and it isn't at the end of the day for you just about putting dollars into the race program. It is about giving back to the drag racing fans and future fans as well. Now, Gulf Western Oils, they had a massive corporate showing at the recent Gulf Western Oils Nitro Thunder event at Sydney Dragway. A huge number of Gulf Western shirts. What was the go with that, Victor?
With the what? The shirts?
The blue, the crowd was awash of blue Gulf Western
Well,
shirts.
it's a little bit strange. When they come on board, you know, the initial idea was for me and Ben both to go flat black, where I came from. You know, all my original cars were flat black, and anyway, some of the guys that work in there said, no, you know, Ben's got to be a little bit different to Victor. So they made him. Ben ended up going blue. I ended up staying flat black, which I really love getting back there because I've been away from that for a long time. So anyway, coming into this, they wanted to make some shirts to sell to the public, right, and split them in the public. So do we make black ones or do we make blue ones, right? So now they've made, if you look at them, they're half blue, half black, right? This is Ben's idea, right? He wanted, you know, 3/4 blue, but anyway. So no, that was just great, you know. And they sell they're about getting the brand out there at the moment, you know.
And it was a fantastic way of almost passive advertising. You see almost 1,000 of these Gulf Western Oil shirts out there in the crowd, and 9 times out of 10, the people wearing them were having a brilliant time. Big smiles across their faces, especially when the pro categories came out.
Yeah, there's a lot of new. The thing about having a company like Gulf Western to bringing their customer base along, prospective customer along, is you're getting people to the drags that have never been there before. We had a lot of people there on the weekend that had never been to the drags before, just going, wow, you know. I mean, drag racing's the only real stadium motorsport that carries the horsepower and speed like that. I mean, you have internal stuff, you know, inside buildings, but it is a stadium motorsport, and it's very rare to have something like that where you see the preparation for the race, the start of the race, the finish of the race, and the pit stuff going on. So it surprised a lot of people. It's great to have new people come along, as well as entertaining all the fans that have been there through the thick and thin over the years. Now,
you both hosted Natalie Pearson in the pits on Saturday. She's a AMA Country Awards singer for 2016, Music Oz Independent Music Awards winner for Best Country, 36th National Songwriting Awards. The list goes on. Top 30 country finalists. She's got quite the profile behind her, and she was down in the pits. I believe she was actually in your car. How did you find her? She's never been to a motorsport event before. We'll give you the red hot tip. She looked like she was having a ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have like a newbies, we call them, you know,
Yeah.
and it's great to have a newbie down the pits there, and she's sitting in the car, and I mean, the smell inside these cars is crazy, isn't it? You know, it's and you look in the car and you sit in the car, you got a great big motor sitting in front of you. First question always is, how do you see? You know, what are you doing there? But it was good to have her there, and you know, I'd heard of a name before, never sort of followed. I mean, I like country western music, but not as, you know, it's not my favourite. So what I did as soon as she left, I went and Googled her. Me and Ben went upstairs and Googled her and had a look at some of her. Oh, she does great song, great, you know, she's a good entertainer. So it's good to have her there.
Darren, bringing newbies into the sport, like we say, this is the opportunity to attract future fans, people who are completely green to it. What are some of the strategies that you and AEG Power Tools and the DMR team employ to try and get those first-time fans?
Well, on the weekend we had a bunch, like nearly 100 corporates at the track, which were mixed up between AEG staff, the Bunnings staff and their customers, which is, you know, really good. And as Victor said, the newbies, like you put somebody down on the start line, 2.5 on the Richter scale, 10,000 horsepower, leaving the line, they got a whole new appreciation. The young lady that come along, she, as you said, she does country and western singing and seen a few cars before, but those things leaving the line, you've never seen nothing like that.
She was actually concerned about whether her voice was going to be okay because she had a show that night, and she was seriously concerned whether the concussion from the top fuel cars had altered how her voice was going to work.
It is completely mind-blowing, and we're going to take the opportunity to talk to Natalie as we welcome her onto our panel for Sports BC Drag Racing. Natalie Pearson, Australian Independent Music Awards winner for 2016. It's great to have you here. Best Country was what you took out. Tell us a little bit about your story, and you've just recently launched an EP, Long Time Coming.
I have. So I've been singing all my life, always performing, and this is my first original release as an album. It's called Long Time Coming because it has been literally that, a very long time coming. And yeah, it came out in February and went straight to #2 on the iTunes country charts, which was very cool. And yeah, the awards last year was for Music Oz, Australian Independent Music Awards, and one of the singles, Chance at Love, took out the Best Country Award.
Now, you weren't always country. You, once upon a time we were talking, you used to do pop rock.
Yes.
Tell us about the switch.
Yes, I did a bit of country music in my teens, and then when I hit 18, hit the pub scene, started gigging with cover bands, and it was all pop rock, top 40 kind of rap. So that was the direction that I thought my sound was, and everything that I was putting out, people were like, oh, it's country. And it was unintentional, and I guess I've embraced that now, and it feels like home.
Now, drag racing is not easy to get by on. You don't. These guys, they don't live off the profits of drag racing. In fact,
No.
you'll probably hear them say what profits. But musicians also, you're in a very similar boat. You've got to seek income from other revenue streams. What do you do?
It is definitely a labour of love to be a musician. You do not get into music if you want to make any kind of money off it. So I just have a day job and do that, and then try and get gigs, cover work to fund the next original release, really. So yeah.
Now, we've found you over here on the East Coast, and it is beautiful, it's beautiful for a reason. Let's talk about the possibility of you maybe coming over. Would you seek somewhere to stay? Would you like to see yourself on the East Coast in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, I love it here, and all of the country music scene seems to be based on the East Coast, so it would definitely make things a lot easier to say yes to opportunities. So yeah, absolutely something to consider for sure.
They're definitely taking advantage of an opportunity at the recent Gulf Western Oil's Nitro Thunder event. Have you been to any motorsport before?
No, on the weekend was very first time. So
how was it? Do you sum it up in a short sentence? How was the experience? Because we got you down onto the start line between two 10,000 horsepower top fuel dragsters. What was it like? Incredible.
Just the adrenaline from I don't know how it would have been for you guys actually being in the car, but standing on the starting line and just having that, that incredible loud noise, and then feeling it all the way through your chest and your whole body and the hair. Covered in burnt rubber as well, which was very difficult to wash off later.
All worth it. Now guys, it looks like you, Darren, and Victor, and I'm sure you speak for your son Ben, you guys weren't too phased about having her in the pits. What was it like?
Interesting.
A bit of shininess.
It was good. We've heard about Nat before. She's been obviously a rising star in Australia, so it's great to see that she came out the race and took the time to come and say hello to us all. Actually threw her in the car, you sat in the car, got the smells and the feel and the great vision that we get with a great big motor sitting in front of us. So it was good, and soon after she left, all the boys, the whole team were up in the trailer Googling her name up, watching some songs. So
maybe you gained some new fans.
Yeah.
Check the Instagram and see if you've got any new followers. Guys, you've all got teams that work together. In fact, a top fuel dragster team is almost the epitome of a well-oiled machine. It takes a lot to try and bring. How many crew do you bring? Almost 12 guys together to concentrate on one single goal. And you've managed to flesh yours out, Darren, with family. Tell us a little bit about that aspect.
Well, at least you can trust the family to make sure they're going to be there, I guess. But from flights, motels, travelling the semi across the country, all that stuff, to young Rory putting the racks together. Will does the clutch on the car. My daughter does all the Facebook and media and all those things for us, press releases, all those. So yeah, it is a big family sport, I guess. And we work on this 7 days a week. So to have employees that can put that much dedication in is very, very hard. Well, I shouldn't say that. Benny's a bit the same. So he's with us all the time too. But it is like one great big family anyway, although they mightn't be married to the family or been brought up there. All those guys on the crew just end up, we eat together, work together, it's all the time.
And Darren, you touch on something there that Victor, I'm sure you can empathise with, is that you make people family. Them being on your team, it brings them in closer. Who have you got basically holding down the important roles in your team?
Well, obviously Ben's runs the team now, runs the workshop, runs the pit, so that's really good. They're very, very fortunate to have him there at the level that he's at right now. But we've been family operation right from day one. It started off with me and Marie, and as the kids grew, we got more and more involved and stuff out there. I've got grandkids now running junior dragsters, and Benny and a couple of others, and brother-in-laws and everyone. So it's definitely a family operation, and Marie's been there, very, very dedicated to me and the racing right from day one. She actually used to race, and she was doing pretty good in the early days down at Surface, and gave her career up to sort of back me because we were going somewhere, we hoped. And she's in charge of a lot of the media, the merchandise, and she packs the parachutes. And she's got this joke she tells her friends all the time. While she's packing the parachutes, she said there'll never be a divorce.
That's actually rather frightening.
It's rather scary, actually.
It is. Nat, yourself, you've got backers, you've got friends, you've got family who are supporting you in what you do. What sort of form does that take?
Oh, incredible form. If I didn't have the support of my friends and family, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. You need to have that backing behind you.
Is it a case of them putting your image out there, helping along with the reputation, recommending you to their friends, hey, listen to some of this?
Yeah, I mean,
it's
mostly kind of the personal support. So like actually having someone that's like, you know what, follow your dreams, do what you got to do. And if you need someone to, be the fallback, we'll be that fallback for you. And just like letting me actually, encouraging me to spread the wings and take risks and being, knowing that you've got something to go back to is really important.
Let's touch on another subject, guys. Of course, we've touched on the teams. Now, this concept of downtime at the end of the season. Darren, you've said your guys, they work on the car 7 days a week. It doesn't finish at the end of the season, does it?
No, downtime's about prepping for the next season, making it better, faster, shinier, louder, lifting the bar again.
And the Gulf Western Oil top door slammer team, you guys are undergoing changes. You've got new equipment. There's a lot of testing that's about to be taking place?
Yeah, coming up to the Winter Nationals, we're going to do a lot of tests with some new gear we've been fortunate enough to have arrive on us. So I think it's a little bit different in Australia from most, Darren probably agrees, with most other countries in the US because of the weather patterns. I mean, they get half the year they can't race. They just can't race. In Australia, you can race down in the colder months. You go and race up north, and in the hotter months you go and race down south. So Australia, because of its height, I think, and the geographical position and the weather that we get here, I mean, we really don't run out of a time of the year when racing weather is suitable. So after the Winter Nationals, we've got Nitro up north, where we go up to Darwin and race up there. Then we do get a little bit of time off, not a great deal, and then back into I think August or something in it. So we're fortunate in Australia that there's racing all year round, but it certainly cuts well into the preparation time for the teams.
We've touched on the upcoming round, the Winter Nationals, to be held up at Willowbank. Let's talk about your goals and your aspirations for the championship, starting with yourself, Darren. Unfortunately, with the way the recent Nitro Thunder event worked out, mathematically it's going to be very, very tough for you to take the 2017 championship. So moving your focus ahead, what are your goals?
Probably the Winter Nationals will be a bit of testing for us. We, like the big teams, we can't afford to test out there, so we actually do it during racing. So we can probably go down the track and be a little bit more heavy-handed on if it smokes the tyres, not the end of the world if the points aren't there. So we broke that throttle cable last meeting, just was the crunch of it all. But life goes on, and we're still putting it up there, and we'll go there and see if we can make this thing rock and roll.
And yourself, Victor?
Me and Ben have got a rule: when we get to the track, we hope the cars start. So we're very easily pleased. But no, we've seen some good results down at the Nitro Champs. And
I think good results are a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, we like
PBs for everyone.
Yeah, it was great. And the track conditions there were very, very good, and the weather was very, very good for everyone. So a lot of the teams did step up there and ran their best DTs. But we just want to get out there, try and capitalise on that event. Do a little bit of testing, or actually a lot of testing. A couple of the teams booked the track for a few days leading up to that. Then you have the winter warm-up sort of the week before. So we want to try and get out there, do some more laps in the cars, and just see if what we saw in Sydney is going to value. Can we consolidate it? And can we take it to the Winter Nationals? And John Zappi is going to be there, which is the toughest racer at the moment, has been for a few years. So it's going to be tough to try and match him down there. Like, we've still been in front of us down there at Sydney, even though we had our best DTs. So try and keep up with John, and secondly, try and win the event. It's going to be our goal. So.
Nat, yourself, you've got some new material coming out. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm just promoting the record Long Time Coming at the moment, trying to get that out there to as many people as I can, and I'll be working on the next release through June and July. So.
Well, Natalie Pearson's going to close out the show. It's been absolutely fantastic having you with us. We're going to hear Chance at Love from the new EP, Long Time Coming. It's been great having you with us here for the very first show of Sports BC Drag Racing, and make sure you check out our on-demand streaming. You can watch the show as many times as you like. Let your friends know. So from us here at Dalton House in Sydney, it's goodbye. We'll catch you soon.
By the lakeside in the summer, it was where we met one another. You were kind of a jerk at first, if anything. Then you took my hand and suddenly time moves faster, finding it hard to breathe. Doesn't get any better than when you're standing next to me. Baby, it's all just in my head, but I think this could be something that one in a billion chance for us. And baby, tell me you feel it too, 'cause it might just be, this could be our chance at love. That night on the dance floor, a little more nervous than you were before, and it was sweet when you asked if you could dance with me. Then you took my hand and suddenly time goes faster, finding it hard to breathe. Doesn't get any better than when you're standing next to me. And baby, it's all just in my head, but I think this could be something that one in a million chance for us. And baby, tell me you feel it too, 'cause it might just be, this could be our chance at love. The first time that you wrapped your arms around me, well, my heart caught fire. Did you know that you were meant for me like I was meant for you? Or am I crazy? I don't know. Maybe it's all just in my head, but I think this could be something, the one in a billion chance for us. And baby, tell me you feel it too, 'cause it might just be, this could be our chance at love. Our chance at love. Yeah. Tell me if